Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back if you're watching this on YouTube. Today is going to be a solo episode all around getting the universe's attention. And what I mean by that is that if we desire, creative ideas, universal intelligence, innovation, alignment, support, we need to operate in our true nature, which I see is your divine nature, is your universal energy, is life force. And so we can sometimes wonder why things don't work out for us, or things don't flow, or things don't seem to happen, when in reality, you're not acting in your true divine nature. And you had me speak about this in the most recent solo episode about how we want to align with the most powerful energy here. We want to align with infinite creativity, infinite possibility, infinite potential, infinite intelligence, which is us. But we can get so confused and misastrayed or distort or distract ourselves, which ends up destroying us. I really truly believe that if we don't have something to pour our life force, a devotion, whether it be a business, a family, a hobby, a garden, it's not about judging what is more important or what is less important. But as humans, we need to be in the energy of creation, in the energy of expansion or evolution. And in order to be like that, we need to act like the divine, act in creation dominance, act in inspiration, act in awe, be in awe. And for a lot of people, there is an apathy or frustration and this is all only happening because we don't let our life force flow. We don't allow ourselves to truly feel and experience and be like the divine, be ourselves, be in our true nature, be in our energetic alignment or blueprint or just growth. And so what I wanted to speak to today is the characteristics that we can see of nature, of the divine, of energy, even scientifically, how we see energy moves. And as I said, for so many, we can be like frustrated or thinking, why do things not work out for us? But what we need to realize is that this is not just a spiritual idea. This is an organizing principle of your actions, your energy, your decisions, your future timelines. So we can't claim that we want expansion while being devoted to habits that just end up keeping you so small or hidden or afraid. And we can't call in higher support while being, avoidant of discomfort or just wanting to cling on to old patterns or old ways or old thoughts or identities that you have outgrown and, wonder why we feel disconnected from universal support. The divine or universal energy responds to creation, responds to devotion. And this is why in another recent podcast, I spoke about the importance of really being intentional of what you're devoted in, because what you give your energy grows and what you focus on expands. So universal energy responds when we move, when we create, when we see and signal that we are ready. We're ready to move first. We're ready to step into the unknown. We're ready to release attachments. We're ready to evolve in real time, because then we become a match for higher timelines, for deeper support, for opportunities that are in coherence and alignment with you. And so whether we realize it or not, we are always creating something. We're always creating a reality. And so we want to be consciously creating rather than, just creating on autopilot or on our conditioned behaviors or on our, just the mind's fear. And I spoke about this recently deeply inside the certification about how it's so important to understand the true nature of your mind. It's all well and good to say, follow your gut or follow your strategy and authority or follow your heart or take the leap or step into the unknown if we don't understand the true nature of the mind. And so we need to remember that we have 3 levels to this awareness. So we have our awareness. We have the awareness that is behind the mind. So there is something or some energy witnessing the thoughts. This can sometimes, if this is something new for you to first hear, I'm definitely going to record a whole podcast on it. But there is an awareness behind the thoughts that your mind creates that listens to it. Have you ever thought, even if you close your eyes, that there is an awareness that listens to your thoughts? And we have over 60,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are repetitive. And most of them are ones that we actually don't want to be brainwashing ourselves with. So there's the awareness, and then there's the mind. And we get to be the storyteller of our mind. We get to choose the stories that we wish to. And at first, we're going to be an autopilot, and we're not even going to realize that the stories and beliefs or narratives, I like to call them illusions, because to me, that is the most factual. They are just quite literally illusions. And we get to choose our story, even me being very trusting of the universe, or trusting of myself, or trusting of the divine moving through me. I guess that could be said like that is, again, just a story. But then how do I respond and how do I act in the world? I do things I desire. I create what I feel called to create. I've totally changed my whole reality because I've created that story. So you get to choose what story you want to create, but it has to be reconfirmed with repetition and with emotional intensity. This is what science says, is that we are the creator of our reality. And quite literally, it's been proven. But we need to reconfirm and create more neural pathways and confirm this story of infinite possibility. And then what I put my energy in will grow, and I am supported. The most travesty of our Western world, or this modern day era, is this devaluation of consciousness, is this devaluation of that peace, pure awareness that is just witnessing all that is possible here. And when we can realize that our perspectives are creating our reality, you get to choose your perspective. And I spoke about this also recently in recent solo podcasts about how your frequency creates your reality. So think of your thoughts as a frequency. If you're operating in frustration, shame, guilt, you are quite literally scientifically attracting that energy back. And this is not something to get all doomsday or worry about, but it's just powerful awareness. Because as I said, we can wonder why we don't feel supported or we don't feel like things are flowing. But, we're out of alignment with the universal energy, which is us, which is you in your true nature. And so it's not about, waiting until proof. Because whether you realize it or not, while you're waiting for proof, you're being devoted to your conditioning, to the comfort, to the worries, to distraction, to safety, to control, to patterns that you have outgrown. So we get to determine our direction. We get to determine whether we act like the universal energy that we are. So in order to almost gain the attention of the divine, we need to act like the divine. And what is the divine? In constant evolution, in constant creator energy. And so I'm going to go through some points here, but let's start thinking about the only entity or the only energy that we really want the attention of is the universe. It's you and you in this lifetime. It's you and the universe in this lifetime. And what a gift to express that potential within you. This is where ideas, innovation, love, expansion, joy, like these are all the vibrational match of the divine. And it's gratitude, it's awe, it's reverence, it's appreciation. So when we appreciate all that is here, all that is possible, creation begins to appreciate us. You are able to multiply the energy which will feel best for you. And this is how you manifest. We overcomplicate this process. We think that it has to do with self-worth. We think that it has to do with reprogramming your subconscious. Definitely there are parts where we need to see the stories that are not in alignment with our life force. But really, at the end of the day, manifestation is aligning with your divine intention, your life force. You create and you allow yourself to move in the direction of your strategy and authority. The whole of human design is a manifestation tool. It's follow your strategy and authority and you will receive abundantly. You will receive better than you could even picture or imagine. And what we're doing when we think about, aligning with our energetic blueprint or our energetic path is that you're in full surrender to where your gut desires to go, where you feel a curiosity or an expansion. This is where you align with divine intelligence within you. This is where you align with your life force. But the thing is that we don't let ourselves. This is where we start to see, maybe some people call it a block. I don't like that word, or a test, or, this is really just initiations. When you are in alignment, you're going to start to see, okay, what are the thoughts or what are the behaviors or the habits or the fears or the doubts that do, mean that I distract or distort my life force. And with full love and compassion for yourself, because really what it's doing, it's just fragmenting your life force. It doesn't have to be this hard or heavy thing. This is the power of awareness. You can be aware of the story, you can be aware of the limiting belief and choose different. This is needed to have safety in your body. This is important to have safety in your nervous system. But when we have awareness, and for me, whenever I have awareness around something, it becomes my number one priority to create safety around that new thing, to find expansion with people or organizations or businesses that have already, created what I'm desiring. So what we're doing there is we're showing like, look, it's safe to follow your life force. It's safe to follow where you feel called. And this is why we need to release the pressure to understand how it's all going to look beforehand or try and figure everything out before you get started. Because life force is in the present. It's awareness and it's intelligence and it's ideas and it's impetus. Its initiations are in the present. And whilst absolutely you can have a vision of where you're going, there has to be some safety created in the now or some trust created in the now. So as I move through this podcast, speaking about connecting to your divine nature, to your life force, allowing it to flow through you, this is manifestation. This is manifestation. This is where you get rewarded tenfold. This is where you start to co-create and you are, in receivership to divine energy, to what is possible here, infinite possibility. I'm going to say later on, it's like we need to stop trying to take the pen out of the divine's hands. You're going to be most at flow when you're not trying to control everything or perfect everything or prove yourself as you move through. When you could say, this is where I'm feeling called. This is what's feeling most relevant to my evolution. This is where I feel stretched and scared by. That's the invitation and that's the reason to move towards it. So by doing that, you will evolve, you will expand, you will grow. And what happens when we do that? The divine, the universe rewards us. This is where you see people that they take risks, they go outside of their comfort zone. They're always willing to put themselves out there. Again, not in a way where they're trying to force or control, but in a way where they're just like, this is where I'm feeling called and this is what we're doing. And there's something really magnetic about that. People that are truly in their authentic expression, on their authentic path. And this is where you manifest in your true authenticity, in your soul's purpose, in your soul's mission. And again, it's not that you're going to know exactly what that is from a logical standpoint, but you trust where you're feeling called in each moment, remembering where you are of highest contribution or where feels most relevant for your evolution. So it often will be where it feels stretchy or what feels scary, but feels like there is a big portal of growth there, or feels like there is potentiality of who you could be in that space. Like you should always be asking yourself, like, does this give me opportunity to grow? And if so, move towards it. So many people stay in the comfort of what they know or what they've just always been good at or just what people expect from them. And there's no opening or expansion available there because technically it's no longer relevant for that. So how does that look? Let's think about the qualities of life force. It is in constant evolution. It is constantly changing. It is constantly moving. It is growing. And this by no means, I think people go straight away to burnout. No, it's a natural flow. It's like a flow through of energy. The only thing that stops the energy is if there's any blockages. And we see this a lot with energy work and chakra work. It's like we see that energy wants to flow, but it might be stopping at the throat or it might be feeling numb in the sacral. And so life force is ever evolving and it's in constant creation. Do you think that a flower, when it's deciding that it wants to shed and rebirth, that it's thinking like, oh no, I got to cling on to these petals because I'm in lack mentality. And what if I never grow again? No, it sheds and it rebirths. Also, as well, life force is always present. We're not going to be saying that it's thinking about the past or judging its flow in the future. It is just flowing. And remember, the whole reason I'm explaining this is because your body is a vessel for life force. Your body is a vessel for energy. Your body is a vessel of creativity. Your body is a vessel of love. Your body is a vessel of infinite possibility. And why people are feeling so frustrated and so apathetic and so defeated, and like, I say this with so much love because I get it. It's because we've identified as an inadequate body. We've identified with these identities that were never us. We've identified with these roles and these traits and these perfectionist or controlling tendencies that are not who you are. And when you believe that you are separate from life force, you will suffer. You will not trust yourself. You will not trust what's possible. And then your behavior follows on from that. We can't get frustrated if you can't change a behavior or change a habit. If the core of the belief or the core story is that I am unsafe or I'm not enough. And so when we identify as life force in the incredible gift of a human body, I had a really powerful ceremony experience years and years ago where in the ceremony I had such a big realization that, like, yes, we're all these energetic beings, but what a bloody gift, especially, not to be biased, but to especially be in the female body. Like, what a joy and honor and gift to be in a female experience here. Like, we are so deeply connected. We are so powerful. We are so intuitive. We are so beautiful. Can we agree? Like, you can look at another woman and just be like, you are absolutely goddess energy. And it's sad when you see a sister or you see a friend beat themselves down when you just see so much beauty in them, so much potential with them. And we need to do the same for us. And it's beyond just seeing yourself at physical level. When you look in the mirror, you see your soul, you see your life, you see your love and your potentiality. You see your infinity. What better identity than infinity? So another aspect of divine or life force is all knowing, omnipresent, seeing all perspectives. But what happens is that we hone in on these often limiting perspectives or stories that totally distort our view. I recently had a color analysis. My beautiful friend Maddie, she gifted me a color analysis session with a really beautiful woman who, with my skin, complexion, energy, and I ended up being the opposite of how I dress. So I am all cool colors, all bright and all winter season. So it's like a very hot pink. It's like a royal blue. It's a pine green. It's black. A lot of colors I don't wear. A lot of colors or brightness that I don't wear. I can be a bit guilty for more of a tonal, warmy, earthy colors. And it was so interesting when I put up the different colors against me because it was actually a very stark difference. And it made me think about, these were actually the colors I wore a lot as a child. And it felt like a new opening of a different evolution. And really, it felt like a little bit of an identity crisis for a moment because I was like, I need to actually change my whole wardrobe. But why I share this story is because it's really interesting. I'm currently in Bali and I was driving around on my scooter. I was with Maddie on the back and we were saying how much our RAS system, our reticular activating system, is on overdrive because I've never noticed these colors so prevalent in my life. I noticed a girl in a royal blue top. I noticed a hot pink outfit in the shop window. I noticed all of the different colors that I just didn't notice. Like, honestly, when she was telling me the colors during the analysis, during the session, I honestly thought, like, where the hell am I going to shop? I never see these colors anywhere. I never see hot pink. I never see royal blue. I never see like bright pine green. I almost had, as I said, I had a little bit of a moment. Funnily enough, I feel so expanded in it. And it just showed me that, like, what you take notice on expands. And so why I also share this is that we have the energy of omnipresence of all perspective, all knowing when we watch a movie. You watch a movie and you see all the different scenes, you see all the different dynamics, all the relationships. Maybe some of the characters aren't privy to the other different relationships, but you see beyond just the one scene. And this is possible in everyday life. You've heard me speak about the different layers of awareness in the Vedic, which speaks about the Karma Kanda, the Upasana Kanda, and the Jnana Kanda, which means you have the physical awareness, what is obvious on the material level. You go a level deeper in the emotion and the intuitive level, another deeper level of the divine life force energy that is behind all. And so we want to be thinking that we are seeing life through an omnipresent perspective. You're starting to see other people's sides of it. So, for example, and it was actually a really beautiful compliment or really beautiful reflection from my sister who said that I don't really get angry at anyone anymore, or I don't get triggered in a big way where I have a big emotional reaction. And it's actually really nice to receive that from my sister, who we used to fight like cats and dogs. And She was telling me that it was very inspiring. And she's definitely the same, but she was saying it to another family member. And what was a nice reflection with that is that when you have a more deeper perspective, you see the human in everyone. You see their perspective. You see what they're dealing with. You see their fears or their anxieties that are popping up. So imagine you have an experience where you feel very uncomfortable and you can sense into how, they either might not be aware or they might be afraid. And so you can start to see different perspectives. So you have a more all-rounded view. And at the end of the day, you just see that there's the divine within them. And what I've noticed is that the world reflects that back to you. Like the kindness I receive in this reality, the people that I've been able to attract is pretty crazy. And it didn't used to be that way. Really didn't used to be that way. I came from intense bullying. And I was probably a bully to other people. And I had to go through a whole process of giving myself love to that, because if I feel like there's always a reciprocal energy or a mirror, and speaking of my sister, I was probably could have been nicer to my sister. And that was something I actually had to really go through a process. And I asked for her forgiveness of when we were teenagers, of how short I used to be with her and how I used to, lock her out of my room when she wanted connection. And, obviously we've come so far since then, but yeah, like just the reality of the energy you put out, you do receive back. And that doesn't mean it's accepting of other people, but it's always inviting something that you're here to move through. And even just, we just had the Bali retreat, and it was so beautiful, by the way, so powerful. Like the love that was just emanating in the space, it was healing on all levels. I felt a healing and transformational energy through my own body. One of the women, she's experienced a lot of cyberbullying, and we're talking on like a big grand scale where, nothing that I could even imagine. And she has so much light and so much love. And one of the things that she wanted to release was external validation. And of course, life will reconfigure and help you to be more divine-like. So what will happen? Let's throw you in the deep end and mean that you can't externally validate anymore, because you see that it's quite literally impossible, that people will always have a perspective about you, that we can't control people's reception to us. So it's actual liberation. And it's really beautiful to watch her move through her journey. So when you remember that you are part of creation, you are part of creation, you are a creator. You are a creator. And when you're in your true self creator energy, then universe notices and supports creators. Why? Because the divine is the ultimate creator. Life force, life, this energy that gives life to things. You've heard me use the example. Like if you have ever witnessed someone pass and leave their body, or if you've seen a pet that's passed and leave their body, you see that when life force leaves their body, they're not there anymore. Yes, their body is physically there, but they are not there. So it is our true nature to bring new form into existence. So whenever you create, you write, you speak, you teach, you build, you heal, you guide, you design or imagine, you become compatible with universal intelligence. Life force flows through you because you are using the gifts of its own essence. You are in alignment with its form, with how it moves. You're creating with the materials of the universe itself. So a creation is a collaboration with the unseen. So your mind may not understand. That's the thing. We need to let yourself create your desires, not just think about them. This is co-creation in real time, and let the universe support you, because you're channeling its energy through form and through your individuality, your expression of it. So this is how you actually get universal energy. Start creating. Be divine-like. Stop clinging. Notice when you're blocking your energy based on simply illusionary stories of not enough, not possible, too early, too late. Like literally, you see how crazy it is. There was one woman at the retreat who, just like how beautiful she blossomed over the time together, where she had a story that she was always comparing. It was, not enough compared to other women. And there was a practice at the start where we all lit a candle and set an intention. And I invited all the women to put their candle or place their candle with their intention in the mandala in the middle of the circle. And for one woman, she placed her candle, gave her intention so that she was ready to release comparison, ready to be in her fullest, beautiful, divine expression. She'd just done the human design certification. So she has all this incredible knowledge and she's ready to be seen and express. And by the way, she definitely is now. But in this first opening session, so it's within the first hour of getting them, her candle blew out. Everyone else's candle remained and hers blew out. And to her, it reconfirmed. And as I said, the universe confirms our stories, will reflect our stories. And so in that moment, it reflected back the story of not enough. It was the only one that went out. Her RAS system noticed when she mentioned and shared it with the group, everyone, like there was a few people that were like, I don't even know which candle's mine. But she was watching hers and she wanted evidence to confirm her story of not enough. So quite literally, the universe blew it out. Why? To bring it to the forefront so she could heal it. Now, she went through a beautiful process, a beautiful unbecoming, such a healing, such a love, such an expansion. It was so incredible. And at the end, it came through and we had a bit of a laugh about it, being like, can we remember the time where we were worried that the candle blew out and we took meaning out of that? And we decided that, we saw how silly that story was. We saw how crazy it was. And in that moment, there was the candle and it went out for a second and relit. All of them actually went out for a second and relit. Again, just like another metaphor of the constant shape-shifting and the power to re-breathe back life. And so you are divine energy, you are life force. And what is a characteristic? You are always in motion, always expanding, always creating, always dissolving the outdated, always growing life into new forms. This is your true nature. But most people fight these forces. They cling to the familiar. They resist change. They maintain what they should let go. They keep creating from old identities, old wounds, old timelines. And then they ask, why isn't the universe supporting me? The answer is simple, because your actions aren't aligned or aren't compatible with your divine nature. So you get to show us and you get to create safety in your body of what is possible when you live freely, expansively, and in alignment with your evolutionary life force energy. So there's a reason why things don't, grow or multiply from that lower frequency energy of frustration, of lack, of shame and guilt, because it's not creation energy. It'll create more of the lower frequency, but it's not a higher creation energy. So the only entities, opinion, attention, support that we need or would be best or could be great desire to connect with is universal life force. And this is not through perfectionism or through proving or through forcing or controlling. That's not the energy of that. That is going against your life force energy. And we want to be in relationship with the most powerful force in existence. Because when you move close or you act like the divine, you live from clarity, momentum, alignment, support, protection. So your frequency determines your proximity to the divine. So act like your higher self. So we want to be aiming to shift with the inner nudges rather than it being forced upon us. You can have these moments in your life where life force will force it upon you. It will, rip the rug underneath you, or something will happen, quote unquote, subtly. It's not really. If something is being shared subtly, but we just haven't noticed it, the Vedas call it a rasi. A rasi will come, and a rasi is when, we'll think of the tidal wave comes into the river and it's in the opposite direction, because usually the river flows out to the ocean. So when a wave or a rasi comes in the opposite direction, what happens is, yes, it might create a bit of a destruction, but what it really does is it's raising you to a higher level. You see that the river rises in its elevation. It rises to what's seen as divine consciousness. This is the natural law, and this is what's shaping your future timeline. So creation dominance. Where do you not let yourself create in an authentic and aligned way? This is based on your strategy and authority. Let's give the universe, the gods, life a bloody show. Give them a show. Like, what type of movie would you want to be watching? Not the one that they just have the perfect story, the perfect relationship, the perfect family, the perfect, everything just seems to work out. Nothing changes. They kind of just have the same thing. No, boring story, not an evolution, not a journey here. And that's what we're here for. So stop putting this false expectation on yourself and thinking that everything's going wrong, or telling yourself that you're too late or you've left it too long. That is such an illusionary story. And then what happens? Then you actually continue to let it go further and further. It's never too late. And everything is in perfect timing right now. If you have a desire right now, it's because it's happening right now. If you didn't have it 10 years ago, it's because you didn't have it 10 years ago. If you had it 10 years ago and you didn't listen to it, it's getting louder and louder and louder for now. And you don't want to wait another 10 years and wish, oh, I wish I started this 10 years ago. So we take radical responsibility for our lives, radical responsibility for our actions, for the thoughts that are creating your behavior, and how malleable and how possible and how natural it is to start believing in yourself and in your divine nature, in your life force. And you get to witness the many flavors that looks like. You're not defined by one role. You are not defined by one identity. We are all multi-passionate. We are all multidimensional, not just the manifesting generators. I think we all relate with manifesting generators, and that's simply because we are divine, which is constantly evolving, which is constantly changing, which is in constant death and rebirth and creation dominant. And so we're all going to relate to that. You're going to have your different strategy. You're going to have your different way that you use your energy. But in essence, we all can't be put in a box. We all are different every day, or different every year, or different every season, because that is a trait of life force. So the problem is when we think that it should be another way, when we try and cling on, when we try and stay the same, when we worry, when the rug gets ripped underneath us, or something breaks, or something, changes or transforms or decays or destroys, whatever the synonym is for change and evolution. Like, we get surprised when that happens, when that is in essence and one of the main qualities of life force, of life. So to really ground this, let's think of 4 traits that we can be in connection with life force, that we can be in relationship with the highest energy here, that we can be in relationship with creation energy, that we can be in relationship with expansion, evolution, all of the things that will actually connect and align us with the life we desire, the feeling, most importantly, the feeling. And this is what we want to think about. If you want to think about the most powerful best friend you can have, the person you would want on your side, like, we talk about networking and support and coaches. And truly, I see my business partner as the universe. Like, I couldn't think of a more powerful energy, or a more life-giving energy, or the most wise energy. And again, like, even skeptics, if they had a choice or an ability to shake hands with God, best believe they would. The thing is that we believe in the greatest tragedy of this modern world is the disconnection to consciousness, is the devaluing of consciousness, and, only believing in what the 5 senses can see, hear, taste, and touch or feel. And this is where we've become so lost. And Dr. Miller, a scientist, and she speaks about how we're becoming sick because of this. And we know deep down, we know that there is an energy. We deep down know that there is a divine orchestration that is happening within it. But we do ourselves a disservice to only think that if I can prove it from a physical standpoint, only then is it true. And this is why people get really stuck. And this is why people just keep reliving patterns of the past, because it's just going on that only what is real is what has happened in the past. And then just reconfirming their trauma, reconfirming their stories, just constantly staying in fear because they don't have a knowing and a belief or a connection with a higher energy that is actually the thing that's creating their lives. And this is where I've gone so far that I used to be such a quote unquote logical person, based on the radical materialism of just what you can touch. And, now that seems crazy to me. It's so logical to me now and so obvious to me now. Of course, there's something bigger than that. Of course, there's, even science, and it's the Heart Map Institute, that we have an energetic field coming from the heart. This is now science. Like, science is catching up to spirituality. So, and again, how are you going to operate, or how will you create in your life if you believe that basically nothing is possible, or only what you can prove is possible, you're going to be aiming a lot lower, let's just say. This is why people speak about getting expansion in reality, because it's showing your subconscious what is possible. You know the famous 5-minute mile. For years and years and years, it was seen as impossible to run a mile under 5 minutes until someone did it. And then hundreds of people were able to do it right after because they saw that it was possible. So we want to have the universe's attention. We want soma, which is life force. And we get that when we are acting like the divine, when we are acting in our true nature. I used the example in the last podcast around, imagine if you're an artist and someone came into your gallery when you have poured so much beautiful intention and creation into your art, and they just come in and pick apart. Oh, I like this. I hate this. That's too messy. I want to get what the story is behind this. Would you want to be in relationship with that person? Would you want to support that person? I'd guess not. And we also can't be in true relationship with the artist if we don't actually understand the art, if we don't appreciate the art, if we are grateful for the art. You can't be in true deep relationship or connection with the artist. It's surface level. It's totally surface level. You're just stuck in your own stories if you are just picking something apart. So trait number 1, to be in deep connection with life force and universal energy, your higher frequency energies, because that is what creates a higher frequency reality. And this is scientifically, again, proven. So everything operates according to frequency. Every thought, emotion, action carries a vibration that communicates directly to the quantum field. You cannot create a life of satisfaction while operating from a frequency of frustration. The two vibrations are incompatible. The energy you hold is what reality mirrors back to you. So when you embody gratitude, peace, love, your external circumstances absolutely reorganize to match that internal frequency. So this is why transformation begins within and energy proceeds. So we want to think about when you raise your frequency, you collapse the wave of potential into a higher expression of life. The field doesn't respond to words or effort alone, but to emotional coherence, the harmony between your thoughts, your feelings, and your intentions. And if you are waiting for the external world to give you a reason to feel peace, or give you a reason to feel like you can create, or give you a reason to feel joy, you're going to be waiting. You're going to keep waiting because you're trapped in the lower resonance, resonance of apathy or fear or guilt or shame or anger. Like when we're angry at the world, just like you receive that back. So instead, we want to generate the energy first and feel satisfaction, trust, or joy. You do this with a change of perspective. So this is how I do it with the power practice. This is where, we'll see when I am triggered or I am in those lower frequency emotions, see how I'm being initiated for something higher. See how I have the power to totally shift and change this. And how I do it is that I see that this is my initiation into my next level. That you feel these things, you feel the darkness right before the expansion. The inner doubt or the inner critic or the things that start to go wrong happen right before something monumental or big or amazing is happening. Recently as I said, we just had the retreat. The morning of, I almost got attacked by dogs. I was walking, I wanted to feel into the energy of the retreat space, and I walked out into the streets and I walked a little too far, and I ended up getting, very afraid. There was some wild dogs or stray dogs around, and I genuinely felt very afraid for my life. I wouldn't say it was just a perspective problem. But what I was able to shift into was, once I was safe, of course, but, this retreat's going to be so powerful. What just happened just then? There's the contraction before the big expansion, and was the most powerful retreat to date. And as well, I played with the energies of moving from fear to love. When I was afraid, they were definitely responding and reacting like that. When I gave them so much love and peace and love and calm, they totally changed their energy towards me. So it was like another reconfirmation. So to live consciously, we need to take radical responsibility for your energetic state. So many people are waiting for life to prove to them why they can feel a certain way. Like if you're trying to wait for life to prove that you're abundant while being in the energy of lack, like it's not a vibrational match. And this is why you can see abundance in all aspects. You can see the abundance of opportunities, abundance of people, abundance of ideas. Like the energy of abundance is not just money, but you can remind yourself like how much you do have enough and you do have more than enough. And how when you give your life force, you will receive abundantly. So we need to shift our focus, from lack or control into coherence, reverence, or possibility. So this is why the power of the reframe can totally change your reality. Because when you start to see things from a different perspective, it raises your energetic signature and the reality around you reflects back that. So you're not waiting for life to align. You are alignment. This is the energy of the divine. This is the energy that we want to emanate in. So that's trait number one, higher frequency energy. Gratitude is the biggest one that can elevate your frequency. And so that's why I'm grateful and I appreciate when challenges happen. Obviously it's so well and good and easy when things are going amazing and well, but I've gotten to a point where I can be truly grateful and appreciative when things aren't going my way, we'll say, quote unquote, my way, but it's actually the universe's way. And it's actually everything comes from universal energy. So it actually is good. And this is where the Kabbalah speaks about certainty, that all is good because it all comes from the creator and it is all for my highest evolution, even if I don't see it right now. So appreciation expands your heart field. And as I said, this energetic is being supported by science. So appreciation brings you into the now and you start to see what it's inviting from you. You're no longer distorting and creating a perspective that is quite literally just creating more you as a prisoner to that perspective. We don't get to pick and choose. What we get to decide is how life should look. It's a co-creation here. And this brings me to trait number two, creation dominance. Life force is a creator, is the ultimate creator. So just reflect on what are you creating in this world? Because whatever you're giving your energy to, you're expanding and you're creating more of. So for a long time, I realized I was giving my energy to trying to get validation or trying to prove myself or overworking or, things that I didn't care about. And it was just draining my life force. And this is why I say not to be afraid of creating or be afraid of burning out or being afraid of you can never get taken advantage of. You can share and be in creator energy and in your life force and also be discerning because you have to ask yourself, where am I needed for my highest contribution? You're not needed for your highest contribution to overgive to a client or to people please. So what are you creating in the world? The universe supports creators. But I just invite you to ask, where are you just purely consuming? And it's not to say that one thing is better than the other. You're going to have periods in your life where it's more about maintaining, where it's more about letting go and what the Vedic say is destroying. But in the whole, we want to be more in creator dominance. And that doesn't mean you're constantly making new offerings or starting new businesses. That can be a frantic energy. But you're breathing life into things, even into your relationships. Like where are you you're not actually engaging with each other? Or where in your business are you not creating space for new ideas to come through? Or where are you not in harmonization with life force and you're just forcing something that you've outgrown? So give your life force to something that's deeply meaningful for you. And also where you are feeling of your highest contribution. Like I truly believe that when you devote your energy into something that you can feel life moving through this is unconditional fulfillment and purpose and happiness and love. And I see it where people don't have anything to give their life force to, and it gets destructive. It's really scary how much the devotional, powerful, beautiful life force energy is just going to our phones. And absolutely, time and a place. I'm not saying to throw your phone in the bin, but like, what's getting your best energy? What's getting your creativity? What's giving your focus? And what are we giving soma to? What are we giving life force to? Is it to a machine that's connected to nothing? So think about where you give your energy, where you focus your energy is getting divine amplification. It's an important thing to be intentional with. So let's be conscious creators. This is why I love my power practice, because it invites you to pause Whenever you might have a big reaction, these are the times when we really need to come back into intentional awareness. If you have a reaction, a trigger, emotional response, when you pause, that's the moment between reaction and creation. In the space of your current reality to your next reality, your higher reality, that's where they intersect. So you get to shift automatic patterns into conscious creation, as I said. So you can change your timeline in a matter of minutes just by bringing in that awareness of, what do I want to create in my life? What energies do I want to amplify? Like, taking radical responsibility with this. The next trait is evolution and change. Evolution and change. So that is another quality of life force, of divine, in which we are. We just forget it and then we become stagnant. But we need to remember that everything is evolving. Life force always signals change first. And we need to ask ourselves, what is irrelevant? What is irrelevant to our evolution? And that doesn't mean it has to be wrong, but it's just no longer relevant. And that's just what I've been saying lately, is like, no longer relevant. Yeah, that way of thinking is no longer relevant. I'm not available to a disempowering thought. I'm not available to this silly pattern that just does not support me in the slightest. So when we see that, as I said, like, when we don't expect things to last forever, expect nothing to ever change, then you're actual and true reality. You're in relationship with life rather than the relationship with your mind's attachments. So think of, the wave metaphor that I spoke of in a recent podcast, where we need to move towards change. We need to move towards our evolution. If you're in Australia, you understand this wave analogy, where if a big set of waves are coming, what you do is that you move towards the wave and you go under the wave before it breaks and you shoot up in the most glorious feeling. The thing you don't want to do is to run away from the wave. If you run away from the wave, you're going to get dumped and thrown around and in the shambles. And that's what often people do. They wait for the last minute when the universe has to intervene and has to shake it up for us. And then we wonder, why is everything going wrong? And rather than seeing all is good, all is coming from the divine, and all is from my highest timeline. So the only reason why we don't change is because the ego doesn't like it. The soul loves it. The soul and life force loves to try something new, be in a different identity, express in a different way. As I said yesterday, when I had my full color analysis and realized I needed to change my whole wardrobe, and I honestly had a little bit of an identity explosion there. And now I look at my wardrobe and none of this feels relevant anymore. And that's okay. I'm being invited into a different expression of myself. I think I even want to get bangs. Like, I think I want to get a fringe. And like, this comes from a really grounded place as well. And I'm like, oh, I'm excited to shift my energy in my wardrobe. And like, how do I want to show up in the world? Because it totally changes your energy. So when we resist change, if I said, screw this is silly, we're blocking divine life force or intention. So we're learning to become the person who can hold the next timeline, who can hold the things we desire. And if we attach to comfort, then we are going against our evolution. We're becoming anti-evolutionary, and comfort keeps you small, and evolution requires some form of change. And the mind doesn't like that. The ego doesn't like that. It can feel like an explosion, and that's okay. Create safety in your body when that happens, but just don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. This is the deconditioning journey in human design. Your not self is dissolving so that, your true self can be expressed. Your life force can flow. Your life force is going to move in the direction of your strategy and authority. So we release repetitive habits that are no longer us. So we're becoming open to receive and hold new events, new experiences, new people, new abundance, new objects that arrive from this higher awareness. Because with change, we have the higher awareness. Use the example of when we have a wave going in the opposite direction of the river, it lifts the whole river up. So stop saying, I'll do it later. It's fine now. I don't know what will happen. I don't want to lose what I have, because then you're resisting divine movement. That impulse you feel, that energy wants to move through your body, the tug in your chest, maybe the whispers you get in the spaces, in your meditation. It's okay if it feels uncomfortable, but trust that the universe is calling you forward. Change will come either like gently or forcefully, but it will come. So we get to move towards it. And the last trait that I will speak about with universal divine life force energy, which you are, is that This energy is most potent and actually only exists in the present moment. It doesn't dwell in the past or the future because it doesn't exist then. The past is just a memory. Future is merely an imagination. But if you are present, you are with your life force. Too much thinking obscures this energy. Biggest thing Maharishi said with the Vedic is that like too much thinking, too much thinking, too much thinking. We want to be surrendered and in devotion to our life force wants to take us in the now. We won't be able to map it all out perfectly because that's your authentic aligned path, that it doesn't exist in a different projection other than now. So if you want to be in deep relationship with life force, you must meet it where it lives, and that is now. If you worry about the future or if you overthink the past, that just simply blocks your inspiration and it disconnects you from your life force. This is why obsessive planning dulls your intuition. So release this pressure you put on yourself. The mind pulls you away, whereas life force pulls you here. Presence is the portal of divine intelligence and attention. So be with yourself. What wants to come through now? What feels most relevant now? I always ask myself, what feels most relevant now? And I have some really incredible, exciting things that are feeling most relevant now, and they feel bloody stretchy. They feel, honestly, a bit scary. But it's what feels most relevant. Yes, I could keep doing what I'm doing, and I will in aspects of it, but I'm being called forward in a different way, and I have to, really hone into what am I truly devoted to? Am I devoted to like keeping things going from the past, or am I devoted to what could be possible in the future and expand in the present? So what are you willing to do or release or face or walk through for this, you know, universal connection and purpose? So stop trying to wrestle the pen out of the divine's hands. Every moment you are writing your story, either by doing or not doing. Every action sets off a sequence of natural law. This is why we want to be in creation dominance, because it will create more, and like conscious creation, because it will create more of what we desire. And when I say that, that is not from controlling. That's just allowing life force to move through you in its evolutionary, all changing, inspirational, inspiring, love filled energy, which won't make sense and which can feel uncomfortable. The divine is trying to write through you. Your job is not to take the pen away. Your job is to collaborate. Trust in this energy moving through you. So number one, raising and being in your true highest frequency, gratitude, clarity, love, life force, alignment. That is your true self. You are the sky. Yes, the clouds and the thoughts can come past, but you are the awareness behind the thoughts. Your thoughts are not real. Your thoughts are just spitting words and giving stories. And based on the perspective will create your life. When you can come and like truly appreciate all that is happening for your highest good and for your highest potential, even if you don't see it now, even if it feels really challenging, knowing that and having certainty that all is preparing you or all is good or all is expanding you. You can't receive what you're calling in if you're not willing or aren't able to hold it. Like I was just saying in my recent retreat, I wouldn't have been able to hold that a year ago, even 2 years ago. And what I continue to move towards, like maybe my current self wouldn't be able to hold that yet. And so we're always allowing the expansion to happen. Number two, creation dominant. Give your life force something that gives you energy back. Stop, not allowing your life force to move through you. Create the thing, make something, build something, offer something. Stop starving people while you're waiting until you become a Michelin star chef. We can be nourished by you. You have something beautiful to offer. And again, whether that be in your family or to your garden or to, as I said, your food or anything, like we need to give our life force to something that's deeply meaningful and it's very unique to you. Number three, always in that energy of evolution. Breaking habits, releasing outdated versions of you, riding the wave of change. And this is not in a erratic way, absolutely not. This is is this relevant? Where am I needed? Where am I going? What feels aligned? The fourth trait, being in the present, because that is where the divine is. That's where universal intelligence is. Be with you now. If you do these four things, then this is just a natural alignment. You're living like the divine. You're living in your true nature. And best believe you're going to get the universe's attention. Best believe you're going to get other people's attention, but we're not going to be doing it for that. You're doing it to be in deep relationship with the highest power here. So many Philosophers and psychologists and scholars and scientists say that the happiest people are the ones with a belief or a relationship with a higher power. Because to feel like you are separate and alone will mean that you will live and believe that you are separate and alone. And that's a heavy reality to live in. The universe brings in that extra support for those and the vessels that are ready to receive its light, are ready to expand and to contribute and to love and to evolve and to create and to be present and to serve. You will never be ignored. You are a match then for the divine consciousness that is truly you. We can just be in the cloud, or we can blend with different parts, or we can believe that we are somehow inadequate. It's impossible to be inadequate if you remember that you are life force embodied. And just think how differently you'll move in the world from that place. You'll create that thing you want. You'll put yourself out there. You'll share what feels fully expressed for you. You'll receive abundantly. You'll love generously. So let yourself. Okay, my loves, thank you so much for listening. I'll pop a wait list if you want to join us for next year's retreat. As I said, it's really powerful. They all came out there being like, I get it now. I am divine life force. I'm full of love. I am love and the healing power of love. One woman there, she had cancer and she was told she was incurable. And now she is proving that she is curable. The doctors have said to her that it's astounding that they have never seen a case like hers now. And she was at the retreat and we had this beautiful experience of a healing circle where we all just gave her so much love in the middle. Like all of us were crying, all of us were giving her so much love, and I feel like we all healed in that moment. But especially for her, she truly believes that, and she says that something big shifted in her. And I just want to remind us that the energy of love is so powerful. This is not woo-woo. This is, again, being confirmed more and more with science. This is Joe Dispenza's work. So you are your own healer. You are your ultimate expander. You are the ultimate creator. And this reality doesn't exist without a witnessing consciousness. So what perspective are you seeing the world and seeing yourself? Because that will quite literally create your reality. If you want to join the certification, this is our most powerful and potent place. We go so deep in there, you get deep lessons with me, and then we have discussion groups, and you also have mentoring and coaching with me. So it's my most potent transformational space. So I'll put the link below and you can join us. Such a beautiful group of women, like crazy beautiful. So that's a bit more accessible than the retreats. But yeah, really, if you're on the fence, I really recommend the certification. Yes, you're going to become a human design practitioner, but it's more than that. I really feel like I need to give it another name because you're going to go through your own transformation. And we include so many other knowledges, so many other wisdoms, energetic work, somatic work, subconscious work, ancient wisdom, science, psychology, mindset, all of it. So really powerful space. So I'll put the link below. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye for now.